Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all good. Now, today I'm joined by a very special guest, one of my favourite football YouTubers. Do you know what? Sophia has been on my channel a little while ago, and we were saying off air, there's a lot to talk about. It's been a while. But thank you so much for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm all good, obviously, as a United supporter, not as much personally. All good. Hopefully, you're all right. I mean, congratulations, first and foremost, for 3,000 subscribers. Well deserved.
Oh,
Well
thank you
deserved. So
so
you
much.
deserve it.
And I just want to say big congratulations to you as well for reaching 4K. I know you work so
Thank
hard on your videos,
thank
so
you. You
yeah.
too.
Yeah. Do you know what it's
We
I think
both
it's
work hard.
yeah. Do you know what we sort of know sort of the grind that we put in doing YouTube, so
Yeah,
we get each other. I think when you sort of watch
exactly.
YouTube, you don't realise how much hard work goes into it, and then when you
Yeah.
do it yourself, it's
Yep.
it can be quite hard. But
Well
yeah,
said.
definitely. But do
Hmm.
subscribe to Sophie's channel here before we get started. Um, but yeah, we're gonna chat a bit about Arsenal United today. I wanted
Yeah.
to start off with United because, like I said, the last time we spoke, obviously the season started. It's been on for a while, but initially, I just want to get your thoughts about
Hmm.
Ferguson. Being removed from the situation because I think if you think about it, really, I mean, Ten Hag hasn't been doing too great, and if
Yeah.
anyone needs to leave, it's probably him before
Yeah.
Ferguson. So,
Mhm.
what were your just initial thoughts on that? Because I thought that was a bit, out of the blue.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Very out of the blue. I was shocked. I don't get the fact that we're trying to, okay, I don't want to say get rid of a Sir Alex Ferguson, but kind of like the whole ambassador role or whatever he has, but still keep Ten Hag. Doesn't really make sense to me at all. So I was very
Mm,
shocked. They're trying to kind of keep him out of the dressing room, like he's not gonna
mm,
get the opportunity to go there. I'm like, excuse me? None of us will be here excited about Man United's history. Big part of that
yeah,
history is due to the fact that, and he's right here, Sir Alex Ferguson,
mm,
that's this guy. So, nah, I think that was an outrageous decision from Ineos.
yeah.
And yeah, literally.
It, it came as like a big surprise to me, really,
Hmm.
because I wasn't really expecting that. I mean, do you know what? I didn't actually know what his role was at United. I just thought he went to games, and it's nice that he had that connection with
Yeah,
United. Like you said,
yeah.
he's honestly your best manager you've had. He's brought
Mm,
you that success, and a bit like Wenger, he influenced so many fans to support the
mm,
club, and it is disrespectful. But I think as well, I think as a club as well, you're going through a very difficult time. So I think
yeah.
it feels even worse. But yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because I was pretty surprised. And unlike Ten Hag, I know we spoke about it last time, and obviously
Mhm.
he did win the FA Cup. Going into the season, it hasn't been great for United. I know before the
Oh,
international break, you got a draw, and it felt like he could have got a win, but even then, it wasn't really good enough for United.
mm-mm.
I mean, as an outsider, it's clear it's just not working. I mean, how long is he gonna get? Because it feels like you hear rumors about United looking at new managers, but then you have meetings and then he stays. It feels like nothing's really changing.
It yeah, you really said it there. So
Mm,
it feels like nothing really has changed when we still have a Tenag in charge. How long are we going to keep continuing
yeah,
to keep this guy? It doesn't really make sense. Okay, so he managed to kind of get past the Villa game and such. Okay, here we are.
yeah,
We will be facing Brentford this Saturday. What then?
yeah,
Fenerbahce with Jose Mourinho. We got Fred and Sufyan Arabat, who we didn't really treat very well. I don't think a lot of people speak about that, but kind of the way we handled that whole situation,
yeah.
as well, and other players. They got some really good players in that Turkish side for the Europa League. It's going to be an away game. I'm not looking forward to any of those games. So
Mhm.
I just don't. I don't get what else does he need to do for you guys to pull the plug? Does it have to get really, really bad? Like relegation battle? Is that how bad it needs to get? I don't
Yeah.
think it should get that bad. I think we should have, cup ties after the FA Cup final. To be fair, that
Mm.
bottom time, we should have said thank you for your service, thank you for those two trophies, but we need to move on. And now that you guys, of course,
Yeah.
Thomas Tuchel now is the New England manager, even though he wouldn't be somebody that I would want at Man United, I wouldn't be very opposed to it. I think I'll be a bit more open.
Yeah.
But now I think at this point, the options out there is very limited. You know
Yeah. It's
that.
It is tough. I mean, like you said, when how bad does it have to get for United to
Hmm.
for anything to change? I mean, I think because he's been winning these things, it looks better than what it is. Because
Yeah,
it reminded me of Arsenal when we had that bad season with Arteta. We finished eighth and we won an FA
yeah,
Cup.
yeah,
It does paper over the cracks in a way. I mean, obviously, as a
hmm,
club, you want to win trophies, and you're
yeah,
never gonna deny that or complain. But I think, in a way, it does make you look better, And I think you're in a tough position, really. So yeah, I don't really know kind of what's gonna happen, but I mean, when did you feel like he should have gone? Because I know at first when you got him, everyone was like, a lot of fans really wanted him, and there was a lot of good things about him, and it's just not
hmm,
really gone as well as you thought it would.
hmm. Yeah. I mean, I, yeah, like you said, a lot of fans was
Mm,
very excited when he first got the
yeah.
job, and I was one of them. I'm not gonna sit
Mm,
there and lie and say I didn't want the guy. I 100% wanted Ten Hag. I was ecstatic about the appointment, but of course, this is his third season now. First season, you can say he overachieved with getting third.
mm, yeah.
Second season has been atrocious. And then, you know, now we're here, third season, even though like I did mention, I think we should have said goodbye after the FA Cup final, and they still decided to
Yeah.
keep him. I said, okay, it's not a decision that that I would have wanted, but
Mm,
okay, we'll see. But we're now what 7 games into the season in the Prem, and we're
yeah.
14th. Yeah, I'm sorry, you have to go. If we
Yeah.
need to salvage, the thing is though, I don't want to just write off the season, like say,
Yeah.
okay, it's over, yada yada yada. We'll just finish, mid-table. No, I
Mm,
still think that this season, to some extent, can still be salvageable, but
yeah.
not happen when he's still at the wheel. You know?
Yeah, like you said, the season has pretty much just started, and if you was to leave
Mhm.
now, for example, you could do enough to, get top. I mean, maybe top four, maybe
Mhm.
fifth, sixth. I think it's so hard because sort of the more you're leaving it, it's time's going by,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yes.
it's a tough one. It's going to be interesting what does happen.
Mhm.
But yeah, honestly, it's not great. Honestly, big up Luca. Good to see you in here. Big up to everyone in the
Yeah.
chat. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to speak a bit about the game coming up at the weekend. Obviously, the international
Mhm.
break is,
Yeah.
for me, I've missed Arsenal, but I know for you guys, it's probably been a nice break away
Oh
from
yeah, yeah.
them.
I've been watching the ladies, Man United women.
Yeah,
They've been. I'm enjoying myself with
yeah,
the men. No, 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 no. I've been okay. I
I
just
know.
feel like
Yeah,
I'm ready to be hurt again with Man United men. How they will hurt me, and yeah,
yeah. I
I'm
mean,
sad, but it is what it is.
yeah, I mean as well, Brentford, it's a weird one with Brentford because I notice a lot about them is that they always score early. There's always like this big pattern with them, and
Hmm.
I think it won't be an easy game, but yeah, how are you sort of feeling about going into that game after the international break?
So if I'm not really that
Mm,
confident, I'm not gonna lie. Yes, it's at
mm,
home, but you know, Brentford, they've been doing their thing.
yeah,
And with us, Brian Obremo keeps scoring goals. And right now we don't really be having a left back. There's rumors that Johnny Evans might play left back. Excuse me, Johnny Evans versus Brian Obremo. Oh, he's gonna have a field day. I know.
yeah,
No, no. So I do not feel confident whatsoever. I should. This
yeah,
is how. how sad it is at Man United, how far we have fallen, that I, as a Man United supporter, dreading the Brentford.
Mm.
Brentford, no
You
disrespect,
shouldn't feel like that, that's the thing as well.
but that this is
Mm.
where we're at, you know? Sad.
It's it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I think do you know what? I think Brentford, I think that's always a team. I mean, for Arsenal, when we play them, it's you can like I always say, going into every game, you can never predict like an easy win. I
Mhm,
mean, we've got Bournemouth, and I'm thinking I think we'll probably win, and I'm confident to some extent, but I just think you can't predict these things. And I
mhm,
mean, Lucas reckons it'll be a draw. I think I could see a draw, but I think you've got to win. I mean, I think if Ten Hag go on, if he like loses and he goes on a bad run as well, I think surely the club will see that and think he's got to go. But it's just very like as an outsider. I mean, it's
mhm,
interesting because like when Arteta came in, I was like, okay, I was fascinated by it because he's never really had the experience like Klopp or
mhm.
Pep or any of those
Yep.
managers, and in time he's got us quite far. And I think with Ten Hag, I think time wouldn't really help him, but I think with Arteta it has. But do you think the club might be thinking, to give the manager time? I mean, I know he has had a bit of time anyway, but I know I know it's obviously good to have sort of a manager and not change all the time, but unfortunately you've just not had the right managers to take your club forward, have you?
No, we just haven't. And
Mm,
we have this whole new regime that didn't really pick Ten Hag. I mean, obviously they came after he was picked, or way after, of course. But
yeah.
I just we now have a whole new coaching staff. So the only kind of piece of the puzzle that really needs to be
Mhm.
replaced right now is the manager. And then you
Yeah.
kind of can start to build again, slowly but surely. Because I do think the squad is good enough to do something, but just not under this manager. And I
Mm,
think we've given him the tools to succeed. He's just not good enough. It's okay to admit that,
yeah.
you know?
I think as well, it's like sometimes, like for example, for the Arsenal women manager, I think it's sometimes good to admit to yourself,
Hmm.
I've taken you as far as I can, and that's okay. And I know they might have wanted to take us further, but it's like Ten Hag. I mean, I think he's got to reach a point where he thinks to himself, you know what, I've done the best I can, and I'd rather walk out with a bit of class, knowing that I did what I could instead of sort of leaving it and it. Going bad with the fans, and I think you'd have more respect for the manager if he just said, I can't.
Yes.
But you don't really see managers walk out as much. I think it's usually they'd wait until their job's gone.
Yeah. Because they want that big payout.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. And not like I'm not going to sit here and blame him for him wanting to stay
Mm,
here. I'm looking more at the guy that employs
mm,
him. You guys
yeah,
can make a decision to say, okay, we need to part our ways and get somebody else. Like why is he
yeah,
gonna leave? He's making lots of money, have a good job,
mm,
even though it's just obviously people close to him might have been
mm,
like, okay, I think you've gotten that team as far as you can. This
yeah,
job might be a bit too big for you. Get something else. But he's like,
yeah,
no, I can turn this around. He's stubborn.
yeah. It's really weird because it's like, with Arteta, there was times where I honestly thought like, "What are you doing?" Like, I think you need to just walk out, and
Mhm,
keep your head held high, knowing that you did what you could. And obviously,
mhm.
it has worked out probably better for Arsenal, but I think it's definitely a tough one. It's going to be interesting to see, how long he gets, sort of if you do make any progress. But it's a good
Exactly.
point here from Chris actually. Ten Hag seems to get something when he's under pressure, which is which will annoy United fans. I mean, I think with the Villa game for me, like I felt for me, if you didn't win that, then he's gonna go, and obviously
Mhm.
you got a draw, and he's still here. It's just gonna be interesting. Um,
Yeah,
Ten Hag would have been sacked if United didn't win that. I think you winning the FA Cup definitely helped him. Do you think he would
yeah.
have, if you didn't win the FA Cup? Do you think he would have still stayed?
Nah, I think he probably would have been sacked, but I still think the
Yeah.
thing is though, we had a Louis Van Gaal. 8 years ago that won the
Yeah.
FA Cup still got sacked. I
Mm.
just don't understand,
Yeah.
the mindset. But I do think that if he wouldn't have won that game, he probably would have gotten the sack. So I do think that trophy gave him a bit more time for sure, 100%. But I just
Yeah.
don't like it at this point. Where we, like you mentioned with Villa,
Mm.
okay, if he would have lost that game, okay, would have been sacked. But he drew. So what are we doing? Like he's kind of just okay, still under pressure, but he's by himself some more time. I
Yeah.
don't want to watch games where is the manager gonna
Mm.
stay or not gonna stay due to performance? It doesn't, or not even performances,
Yeah.
more so results. That's not how I want to watch football, I
Yeah,
don't get
because
it.
even you winning, an FA Cup, it doesn't mean you did have a good season, because I know in the
Hmm.
season you struggled with that inconsistency. So I
Yes.
think I think they have to sort of look at it as a whole thing and not just like the
Hmm.
FA Cup. But
Yeah.
yeah, it will be interesting to sort of see how it goes. That's point.
Hmm.
United kept Ten Hag for winning a trophy. Van Gaal still got sacked for winning a trophy. Yeah,
That's what I'm
it doesn't
saying.
make
Yeah.
sense. Like, it's
No.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think
We're
for
a
me,
mess.
Ten Hag would get sacked if they don't beat. I think is like if you drew with Brentford, I don't think that would change anything. I think if you
Yeah.
lost, you
It
know,
really also depends on how we lose. I think, like, let's say, when the point when I was 10 out was when we lost 3-0 to Bournemouth a couple of
yeah,
months ago, like last season. And that was at home, right? At Old Trafford. That was when I was done. So I think if we lose, like, in that matter, that's when I think, like, okay,
yeah,
surely he's out.
yeah,
But let's say we lose like one, we might have been a little bit unlucky or something. Maybe they'll be like, okay, we give him the benefit of that doubt.
yeah,
But the nail in the coffin for me is probably next Thursday, a week from now, people. We will be facing Fenerbahce. I don't
yeah.
think people understand the magnitude of that game. I'm scared. That might be a massacre.
I think you've got definitely a tough sort of week coming up with your schedule as well, and I think.
Yep.
I mean, it should be make or break for him, but we
Yep.
just have to see what happens. It's
Oh,
it's so
exactly.
tough.
Hmm.
As a Liverpool fan, I'm loving the state of United, but at the same time, I do want to see them compete with us and other teams at the top. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, because
Hmm.
I was speaking to a United fan, and it's interesting because, like, with Man City, they'd probably be classed as Arsenal's rival at the moment, because I know I hate Tottenham the most and all of that, but I think as well, because you're not competing, it's sort of going a bit that. I mean, I think Arsenal and United will always have that rivalry with each
Oh,
other,
yeah.
especially with the
100%.
fans. But like Chris was saying before, back in the day, we're both the best teams to play against each other, and I think in a way it's a
Hmm.
shame that's really gone.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
agreed.
just yeah.
No, I
Um,
agree with you. Yeah.
Question here actually for you. Does she feel that Van Nistelrooy is on the coaching team with the prospect of taking over as the manager when Ten Hag does go?
Initially, yes, but yeah,
Mm.
I do think that he'll be more so like an interim, not a permanent coach or the permanent manager, but more so like I said, the interim. But I
Mm.
just feel like the longer it goes on, I don't really get what their plan is. I don't fully get it. If I
Yeah.
could pick, I would have Root as the
Mhm.
interim,
Yeah.
and by at least until January, end of the season, just to then kind of interview different candidates and figure out who will then get the
Yeah.
permanent job for the next season. I think that would be the best, because
Yeah.
like he's a good man manager, of course, still very raw when it comes to like being like an actual manager. Of course, for a big club such as Man United, yes, you have the experience of being the
Mm.
PSV coach, but that is different gravy to then being the Man United manager.
Yeah.
Very different. But I just feel like if there's somebody that can maybe get the group a bit together, a bit like
Yeah.
down up from the gutter, I think it could be Root. Just to steady the ship a little bit. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. I
Until we
mean,
then get somebody, you know?
Yeah, because he could possibly be sort of, if Ten Hag got sacked, in the next sort of few weeks, he'd probably be the guy just to take you out the season or up
Yeah,
until January or up
yeah,
until you find the right replacement. And I think for United, I think it's so important you find that right replacement now because you've had quite a few managers now, and I think you need sort of that manager that's going to be with you for, maybe 5 years or a longer
hmm,
time that will really win you things now. I think you
yeah,
need to get to the point where you can challenge because I think it's one thing trying to get top four, but I think for United, they definitely need to be challenging for the league,
yes,
hopefully soon. So, yeah, we'll definitely see what happens with that.
yeah,
I wanted to ask you a bit about Arsenal. We're going to be on here for
yeah,
10 more minutes, guys. So please do hit the like button and send in any questions as well. But yeah, I wanted just to ask you about
mhm,
Arsenal, about our season so far. Obviously, we've had a bit of a different season to you. I mean, I still think with United, you'll do okay. I know you're in a lower position now, but I mean, Arsenal have come a long way. I mean, this
yeah,
season, I think we've won 5 games, drawn two. I think the draw against
mhm,
Brighton's
yeah,
just sort of the one that I'm thinking maybe we could have won, but I'm not going to
yeah,
complain. We're in a good position, but I know
yeah,
it. I know at the top it's getting quite competitive as well. Liverpool are very good. I think people actually wrote off Liverpool, to be honest with you. I think Liverpool can
hmm.
definitely compete, but yeah, I just want to get your thoughts on how Arsenal are doing so far.
I mean, you guys are doing very well. Like you mentioned, you guys are unbeaten.
Yeah.
Hello. And you've had, when you think about it, compared to, yes, Liverpool, top of the table, but just 1 point ahead of you guys. And I think you've had probably the more tough, not probably, you had had
Mm,
the tougher fixtures compared to a Liverpool. But you still managed to get the job done, especially with injuries.
mm,
Your captain,
yeah.
Martin Ødegaard, injured. I was thinking, oh, that would be a big miss, but you've still been managing very well. And you had players like Bukayo Saka. I gotta put my
Mm.
hands up. He's incredible. He's one of those players that I cannot hate. Yes, he plays for Arsenal. I love the
Yeah.
guy. It irks me that he plays for you guys, but he's a great dude. Wonderful player, like actual, but also just his personality.
Yeah.
Great guy. He just seems very likable. And of course, he shows it, proves it on the pitch, which he has been doing. And also, I've had to definitely put my hands up when it comes to Kai Havertz.
Mm,
I've not been his biggest fan. Guys, I put my hands up. I was wrong. I was wrong. I didn't think he was going to work out. I was saying he's this and that. I ate my words. He's been proving me wrong, and he showed up
yeah.
in difficult times. He has been showing up, proving
Yeah.
something for you guys. And of course, big fan of Trossard.
Yeah,
Always
he's
been that
amazing. Yeah.
100% exactly. Martinelli, I think, started off a little bit shaky, but I think
Mm,
still he has some moments where you're like, okay, okay,
yeah.
I get it. And yeah, and of course your defense. I mean, what is it really to mention about it? Your defense is just too good, too good.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah,
I mean, I think it's obviously looking good at the moment. I think with the league, I mean, Man City, I think with Rodri being out, that's definitely going to help us. And if I'm being honest, I think Trossard's done really good in that Odegaard role because it's not really his
mhm,
sort of position he plays in. But yeah, Trossard for me is sort of I feel so honoured that he's Arsenal. He just fits in really well. And like you said, I think
yeah,
Martinelli is Barrett's quite good now because his confidence is starting to come back. And I think he's obviously went through a tough time and he's overcome that, which is really nice to see. And I'm just really happy that he's
mhm,
providing for the team and Saka as well, like you said. I mean,
yeah,
I think he's okay. I mean, I know for England he picked up a bit of an injury, and I think he's actually
yeah,
okay now. But yeah, I think it's obviously quite positive for Arsenal. I mean, the Bournemouth game for me, I think for us it's quite a good game to come back to because like I always say, it's not ever going to be easy win. Every team will always fight to get that win, no matter
100%.
what position you are. But I think for us, it'll be probably a good game for us. I will be interested to see if we do rotate, if we do make any
Mm,
changes, because I mean, we're okay, but we are picking up injuries. I mean,
yeah,
Tomiyasu is obviously injured again, and it's a real
again,
shame. Do you
yeah,
know what?
that
Yeah,
guy.
It's, I read something and I thought this has got to be a joke, surely, because I love him. Like, I remember when Arteta signed him, I was a bit unsure because we were going to sign. I
Mhm.
think we were going to sign someone else, and then
Okay.
it felt like a last minute thing. But obviously,
Yeah.
it was a very good option. And I just feel so bad for him because I know himself. He was starting to play in like the first team. This
Feel
happens.
bad for him.
I know I
Yeah.
feel
We
awful.
also have yeah, so we have definitely a bunch of those type of players in our squad as well where, you want to see them succeed, but they come back and then suddenly here they injured. It's like I think at some point you just gotta cut your losses.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's a shame because, like, I mean, Arsenal do have pretty much a lot of players like that. I mean, I know sort of
Hmm.
Zinchenko, Jesus are known for having injuries, but I think
Yeah.
as they're not really sort of first team players, and I know Tomiyasu
Yeah.
is good enough to get in that first
Hmm.
team. I
I
know we
hear it.
mentioned before defensively we've got a lot of options, but yeah, I
Yeah.
feel bad for him, and it's
Hmm.
crazy. I want to
Yeah.
see Ranieri on Saturday. I mean, it's good to see
Ooh,
Arsenal. I
I
don't know if
like that kid. I
yeah,
like him.
yeah,
He's
I
got
think
something.
do you know what? I think it might have been a Leicester game and it was
Hmm.
2-2 and we brought him on and he just gave us this like burst of
Yes.
energy and
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
I was thinking, are we ever going to win that game? But he honestly really impacted the game, and
He
yeah, I mean,
did. He was just
yeah,
moving the ball very forward. Like he looked very. Because I watched that whole game, and it was a very good game. Oh, I was entertained. But yeah, I
yeah,
agree with you. There's something happened where it just clicked when he came on the last few minutes, and that gave you a little bit of that extra push to to go, and get the win, which you
yeah.
did.
I think it's nice to have sort of players like that. I mean, especially if they're one of your own, the youth players to
Yeah,
bring that energy.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I think you've seen it as well with Mainu, like,
Hmm.
I rate him a lot, like you said about Saka, I just really like him, but,
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's really nice to see those sort of players come in, get these opportunities, but for the Bournemouth game, do you expect that to be sort of a comfortable performance and win for Arsenal, or do you think it might be a bit of a challenge?
That's a good question. Are you guys at home or is it away?
Let me just check. It might be at home, oh, actually, we're away at Bournemouth.
Ooh. Ooh.
That's an interesting one, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah. That I think you'll still manage, but it could be tricky. It
Yeah,
can. It can. I'm not gonna sit there and say it won't be tricky. I think it can be tricky for sure. With some of those players, but I still think you'll
mm,
manage to get the job done. I'm not gonna lie. I think you'll still win.
yeah.
Um. Yeah. I think so.
I think away from home can always I mean, to be honest, I think we're okay either way, but I think
Yeah.
that'll obviously give Bournemouth confidence being at their ground,
Yeah.
and I
Of
think for
course.
us, like, I do think they'll score, but I think it should really be maybe a 2-0, 3-0, or
Yeah.
3-1. I think it'll be 3-1, but I'll really take this, and
Same.
yeah, I
You
think
just
they'll
want to
definitely
win.
score.
You
Yeah,
know.
I mean, a bit
Yeah.
like you don't really care how you win. I mean, you just want to do well. So I think
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a hopefully good performance. And yeah, for United,
Mhm.
I mean, you never know, you might pick up your points. Things might improve for you. I mean, it's really, what with United. I mean, I kind of like the rivalry we have with each other, and I think when you're back up
Same.
there, I mean, I love that. I mean, it's so weird because I know when we've played you guys, we've won more recently, but I think
Mhm.
it's always a competitive game. Even like no,
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
might
yeah.
even though you're not doing great and we are, it doesn't mean we can go in that thinking it's going to be a win because
No.
you'll want to prove. It's a bit like Arsenal when we play Spurs. You can never go and start thinking that Spurs are gonna, you know, lose. It's definitely a good game against United.
Yeah,
So
it tends to be very good either way. Yeah,
yeah,
agreed. 100%. Yeah.
because I
Mhm.
know the game. I can't remember. Like it might have been last season. I think we played you guys, and Declan Rice scored at the end. But you were so
Oh,
close
yeah.
to winning that, and
Yes.
I
Yes.
if you just, and I was thinking about that scenario because it could have gone either way. I mean, that
Yeah.
was the
True.
offside margin was, yeah, that
Oh,
game was.
That's the
mad.
dream, yeah. Oh, that is so true.
But yeah,
Yep.
I think when we play each other, it's always going to be exciting. But yeah, I'm
Mhm.
excited to see how you guys improve throughout the season. I think, you definitely need to get back up there. And like you said, it's going to
Yeah.
be interesting with Ten Hag. Does he stay for the season or will things change? But I just wanted to thank you for coming on today because I've really enjoyed it. It was love talking to you. But yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
No, thank you for inviting me again. I had a blast. I love your channel. Always great vibes and keep doing you, Soph. You're doing
Oh,
great.
thank you so much, and I do appreciate you coming on. But could you just tell people where they can find you and sort of what sort
Yeah.
of content you do on your channel?
Oh yeah. So you guys can find me on Sophia's Football Talk. I do a lot of United content, but to be fair, I do also on other types of content, like in other teams in Premier
Yeah,
League or even outside of the Prem, like Serie A, a little bit more on like La Liga and stuff like
yeah,
that. Women's football, national team. There's a lot. Like I will be live in about 30 minutes to basically, discuss the worst team of the season. Do players that I think they haven't done so well so far this season. Let's just be honest. There will probably be a couple of Man United players to get in there for sure.
yeah.
So hey, you can find me there.
I love that. I love your content, and
Mhm.
like I said, I'm really happy you've got 4K. And here's to many more.
Thank
And
you.
do subscribe to Sophia's Football Talk. And big up to everyone in the chat as well that's been showing us love, that has watched this. It's very much appreciated. And yeah, guys, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.